Hey, what's happening? Simplicity is divinity. I forgot to mention in the last video that I'm actually using Pocket Wizard Plus 3s. You actually can get the Pocket Wizard X, which is $99, or you can buy the cheap Chinese triggers. However, they don't last that long. You can't actually increase the output. Say if you wanted to stick a flash trigger inside of a building pointing up through a stained glass window, for example, and you're shooting a model outside, so you have two more speed lights, you have three total. You have one pointing through a stained glass window, for example, you're shooting an evening scene, one for face fill and one for background. You don't have enough signal gain with a lot of the cheap Chinese triggers, or especially if you're doing a sunset shot. People say, why the hell would you spend so much money on these Pocket Wizards because they're so damn expensive? Well, I don't know how many sunrise or sunset shots that you've done, but I've done a lot of them. I haven't done as many in the past few years, although I did more than a few past month in Florida. But you got about a 20-30 minute window there, sometimes less, and you got to hit it all. I mean, you can't be sitting there dicking around with your equipment because you've lost it and then you've lost the model. They won't come back to like, screw you, you don't know what you're doing. You have to have the right equipment, and having very, very reliable flash triggers, wireless flash triggers is, I'm sorry, it's just one of those things. I'm all about saving money, and the Chinese triggers work, but they don't have enough output. But anyway, that video is not about buying Chinese triggers, and I'm certainly not sponsored by Pocket Wizard, so I don't want anybody getting that impression. Right now I'm a Fuji X-T1, have a Pocket Wizard. You want to stick a cheap Chinese junker on there, it's fine, whatever works for you. If it's inside the studio or just outdoors portraiture, that's fine too. One of the serious issues that comes up is that you got a model, you want to shoot the family, you want to go to some remote location. You know, you probably don't have the money. 99 times out of 100 people don't have the money to pay, or do they have an assistant to hold reflectors, and you just want to do simple. Just keep it simple, but create some beautiful outdoor portraiture. You got a model on the beach, the sun is setting, you got to have some fill flash because you want your shots to look nice. You can't be sticking your speed light on top of your camera, then you're nothing more than a high-end photojournalistic photographer, and the pictures obviously are not going to look good enough. So what's the simple answer to that? Outdoors, backyard, sunset, in the woods. Okay, you've got something here that operates as three different things now. It's a monopod. Now this is an aluminum one. I've got the carbon fibers in the back. But if you don't want to spend much money and get like a cheap used aluminum monopod like this, that's why I grabbed this instead of the carbon fiber ones, which I always use. If you're hiking to a shoot or out on the beach, it operates as a walking stick, especially if you're packing a lot of gear. This is as much gear as I'm packing for a beach shoot, for example, or a shoot out in the woods or on a mountaintop. I got to park my car and me and the model got to hike somewhere. I can't afford to pay for an assistant. This is so damn useful, and it is so effective, and it is so versatile. So you got a monopod here, number one. You got a walking stick too, because a lot of times you got to hike to the beautiful spots to some degree, whether it's flat ground or elevated or whatever the hell it is. But secondly, go on eBay. I'll give you the link. These are cold tripod to cold shoe attachments. This little jobby right here, about $1.50. It's a cold shoe attachment. I've got an SP910 here. If you want to use a cheapy $20 Chinese flash, that's fine too. Anything like an SP26, SP28, doesn't matter. Obviously I have on the Fuji X-T1 no built-in flash. It comes with a little dinky one, but I don't particularly like it. A little pop-up flash. It's not a pop-up flash. It does pop up, but it fits in the hot shoe connection of the Fuji X-T1. This is also applicable not just for Fuji, because I've got the Fuji in my hand here, applicable for Nikon and Canon systems. So I have a SPEEDLIGHT. It'll be a cheap one, it'll be expensive one like I'm using here. And then I have a transceiver here and a transceiver here hooked to a PC flash cord. So what the hell am I going to do with this that's going to create stunning, beautiful portraitures? Okay, I don't have to have an assistant, but I can't be dicking around, moving my lights over here. Say I've got a sunset shot, and I've only got 20 minutes to get perfect lighting angles, but I got no damn assistant. I got me and the model. I got a 20-minute window. That's usually what happens in sunset shots to grab the perfect shot. It's all about capturing the right light. Okay. Test here. What am I going to do? I've got my SPEEDLIGHT mounted in the cold shoe attached to the end of my monopod. You see what I'm doing here with the SPEEDLIGHT? Okay, that's just one shot. Okay, now what am I going to do? I can extend the monopod out. Okay, I want to do this to the side so you see what I'm doing. Do you see what I'm actually doing with the Speedlight head? Stick a diffuser on there. I got a pack of gels back behind me here. I can slip that in my back pocket. I can slip an orange gel or whatever sort of gel you want. Stick on the end of that Speedlight. You have enough time. You're doing all of this yourself. Let me extend out the pole of the monopod a little bit more. Let's pretend my model's right over here. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to come up behind her. I'll use a reflector. I'll stick a Velcro attachment on the end of my Speedlight, or I'll bring in my bounce card here. And say I want to do some hair illumination. Unfortunately, I clipped my fingernails earlier today. I bring out my bounce card. It's hard to grab that little sucker. I'm going to stick this here behind her hair. I'm going to come off to the side of her face. Okay. I want to do, now this seems kind of odd. People actually wear a translucent dress. It's not you're shooting up underneath the dress. You're actually using it like a translucent filter to bring the light forward. I'll actually bring, I haven't done this in years, bring the Speedlight the head forward. Actually, since I have a tilt head on this monopod, what I'll do is I'll do this number. Okay. Now I can actually bring this back underneath the dress and use it like it's breaking sunrise sunlight or breaking a sunset light behind the subject. No assistance. Short, fast, easy, simple. Doesn't cost anything other than, obviously, your wireless triggers here. And this really, really expensive $1.50 tripod to cold shoe adapter for sticking your Speedlight. Doesn't have to be a $550 Nikon SP910 Speedlight. It could be a $30 Chinese flash that has a manual setting on it. I mean, because I've got this in manual mode right now. Obviously, I can't do TTL. This is the sort of stuff that scares people. Not this monopod trick that I'm showing you right now, but you know, strobist photography in general. And it shouldn't. You need to spend, I could teach anybody if you're here right now how to do this and feel totally confident about it in about a half an hour. You'd be like, oh my God, you know, I got to think so much about composition, what my depth of field is, what my shutter speed is. Really, when it comes to this, other than setting my sync speed, which is 180th on the Fuji X-T1, shutter speed doesn't really matter when it comes. It does if it's a daylight shot, obviously. It's like dusk or early dawn, or you know, some really late evening stuff. Your shutter speed doesn't really matter. Your shutter speed is whatever the intensity and duration of your Speedlight is. And that is where you have a secondary shutter. Your shutter here only becomes relevant as far as sync speed is concerned. So you got to stop thinking about, well, I got to think what my duration is here, I got my sync speed here, I got to do this and this, I got to think about aperture and shutter speed, then I got to think about intensity, and since I got to do everything in manual, it scares people. I mean, the one thing that scares people the most that shouldn't, it's like the haunted house legend. There are places like this all across the United States. People are afraid to go into them. It's, well, it's haunted, you know, so-and-so got choked. People are scared to death of it, and there's nothing to be scared of. I mean, there really isn't. I mean, it's just, it's like the spooky region of photography where, like, oh, I have to use a Speedlight, and that's magic. You know, I have enough problems thinking about what my aperture and shutter speed is and thinking about my composition and my illumination. It's not that hard. It's okay to fail. You know, take the kids out, stick the poodle on a freaking stand out in the backyard, you know, and put this little contraption together that we have here. And experiment on the kitty cat, the poodle. You know, experiment on, you know, your wife. You know, outside of the bedroom. Excuse me. This isn't that hard. Get out of standby mode. Obviously I don't have a I've only got 2 sections of my monopod extended here. I mean, how difficult is this? The results that actually come out of doing this with a monopod and a Speedlight and a cold shoe adapter for your Speedlight are absolutely incredible. I mean, they really, really are. And this is so simple to take on location. You don't need an assistant. It's just your camera, the Speedlight, and 2 transceivers. This doesn't weigh that much. It would weigh a lot less too if it was my carbon fiber monopod. If you don't have a monopod right now, you should get one. And if you don't want the really, they're not that much more expensive. Carbon fiber, like the Siri monopod for $100, not that expensive. But grab an aluminum one, for $30. For this use alone, the fact that you don't have to use an assistant and you can get incredible light is really, really awesome. Let's say you're going to be, I use a monopod all the time. I'm not in focus right now. Get a monopod. Grab one of these $2 cold shoe adapters. So very useful. You stick this on a little dinky miniature tripod, the little octopus tripods that I've got over here in the other room, the ones with the little flexi legs. Stick it down in the grass. Stick the Speedlight down in the grass pointing up at your model. Start playing with lights. Stop being afraid of using Speedlights. It really is nowhere near as complicated as you think. You think, well, this is complicated enough. It's hard enough to get the stuff right here. I got to add this shit, and then it just doubles or triples what I got to do. It really isn't. Okay? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. This really is very simple. Okay? Don't be afraid of it. And it's not that expensive, but the results are exquisite. Okay?